CNN is about to be sold. So there's a big article this week in the Hollywood Reporter. There was another big article actually in the New York Times. It was even better because they talked about 3 offers, all from the same company, all from David Ellison. David Ellison is the son of Larry Ellison, one of the wealthiest guys in the world, good friend of President Trump. And David Ellison, you see, he now owns Paramount. That Paramount deal with Skydance where they bought CBS, well, now he's got CBS, he's got Paramount, and he's swooping in for the kill, and he wants Warner Brothers Discovery. But it's bad for CNN. It's bad for CNN because you see, nobody actually wants CNN. By the way, Warner Brothers Discovery really, really does not want Ellison buying it. Because, again, per the New York Times story, he made 3 offers. And they're like, And so now they say they've got other interests. We're not so sure about that. There are reports that Comcast maybe would be interested. But Comcast, what are you thinking? I mean, you got enough problems of your own. Right? Heck, you're spinning off MSNBC because you can't wait to get rid of Rachel Maddow and company. So that probably wouldn't work for you. There's talk of, Comcast out there, maybe a few others possibly circling. I'm not entirely sure that I buy all this interest. I think this is partly an effort, if you would, from Zaslav. And by the way, he's doing the right thing. He wants to get the most money for shareholders, trying to drum up more interest out there. I will say this, you know what? If this actually happens, guess what? Guess what? CNN is most likely going to go away. And that's because the company is really not an asset anymore. It doesn't make any money. It's kind of a headache. You've already got CBS News, right? So focus on streaming. You don't want to join CNN and CBS because then you're suddenly victim to all the crazy things that CNN might say on the air, possibly affecting your business at CBS because the FCC has jurisdiction over CBS, whereas they don't have jurisdiction over CNN. But, and this is what MSNBC and NBC quickly found out, it doesn't sit that well when you have one team of anchors constantly bashing the president and spouting fake news, and then you have the network. Well, let's face it, they were doing that too, right? I mean, that's what the 60 Minutes lawsuit was about. And that's what over at ABC, the George Stephanopoulos $16 million settlement was about because they were spouting fake news on FCC-controlled airwaves. But, why do you want to commingle these two things? I think the short answer is they don't. The short answer is these guys are going to go bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. So I would say that all of the talent at CNN, their days are numbered. Who's the one that just bought that home in Nantucket, kind of a pricey home? Is it Caitlin Collins? Ooh, Caitlin, I wouldn't be scooping up any more extra properties right about now. And didn't I tell you Jake Tapper was going to be done? Why else was he suddenly coming out with a book, pretending the entire time that somehow he had nothing to do with the propping up of one Joe Biden, despite the fact that, we saw this over and over again, right? Do you remember the clip where he did this really nasty turn on Lara Trump saying, how dare you accuse Joe Biden of being mentally incompetent? Have you never heard of a stutter?
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
you are
to watch somebody on stage
that's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter.
Yeah,
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive
we can
decline.
See that Joe Biden is
I have one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure.
No, you don't. You're just a jerk. I mean, the guy's like, I'm sorry. He's a sorry excuse for a journalist. He's a hitman for the Democrat Party. I mean, I don't know how else to describe that. His buddies like David Plouffe and what's his name, Rhodes. I mean, like these are his buddies, right? Along with George Clooney, who he got close with because, you know, they had to do some kind of takedown of Biden at some point. Yeah, that really worked out well for you, right? The Democrat Party really appreciated that you took out the guy that they actually elected. Yeah, voters really loved that one. Guys, like, you lost the union vote on that, okay? Like, that was not a brilliant move by any standard. But he's not a brilliant guy. He really isn't, and he definitely is not much of a personality or a looker on television. I'm sorry to be so mean, but voice matters. You don't have to have the looks. I'll be fair. You know what? But voice actually matters. Content, truth, fairness matters. And this idiot had the audacity to then say, oh, I was wrong. Biden's bad. And then wrote a book about it.
There is a pattern, discernible pattern of Democratic officials seemingly trying to convince you, the public, to not believe what you saw and what you heard with your eyes and with your ears on Thursday night.
What I've been able to do with with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
That was the line when Trump was like, oh, I don't know about that. I mean, he beat it to death, right? It was surreal watching that debate. By the way, Joe Biden, clearly no sense of self. And clearly Dr. Jill Biden had no sense of self, nor any sense of her husband, because if anybody had two brain cells, they never actually would have allowed him on stage to do that debate. Okay, just saying. Because you completely expose the emperor has no clothes. Like, that was then very, very apparent to everyone. And so what does Jake do? He suddenly realizes he can't go and just attack Lara Trump anymore. Or all of us, you had KJP out there saying we were fake news, right? Because we were showing you the videotapes of him not knowing when to sit when he was in Normandy, of him at G7 wandering off because, you know, like a little kid, he got kind of interested in the balloon over there. So he wanders off. Giorgia Meloni, gracious Prime Minister of Italy, beautiful woman, really great conservative, will do wonders for that country. Trust me. She brings him back. I mean, lovely, lovely, gracious woman. She's like the only one who noticed, right? Macron's like, huh? They're all like looking at the camera, waiting for their shot as Joe Biden wanders off and he tries to put on his sunglasses like a little old man that he was. All right, so we show you that here on the Trish Regan Show. And KJP, who's out with a new book and is just a mess, one hot mess. She's like, oh, they're just cheap fakes. No, there's nothing fake about it. You guys were the cheap fakes. Cheap. For that matter. Anyway, MSNBC, they're also in a situation where they're going to find themselves. We did this story the other day. You can go and look it up. They totally embarrassed themselves over those archive photos. It's like they don't even know what's an archive, what's not an archive. We have a chapter on it on the channel, so I encourage you to do that. But I'm just going to say this. Whether you're talking about CNN in this new world, the talent's not going to survive. They're just not going to survive. Or whether you're talking about MSNBC talent, they're also not going to survive. I actually think these two like have more survival instincts than you'd think. Watch.
Now, whenever this happens, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, you never know. But I actually think those two will survive, right? The whole Mar-a-Lago, kissing in the ring thing, they're trying to act like they care about the conservative agenda. They're no fools. So they're trying desperately to cling to their jobs. The one that's actually really going to be in trouble, the one that they didn't really explain this new spin-off to with Versant, that could actually be Rachel Maddow. We saw in the media reports that she didn't even know how to say, well, you know, can you blame her? It's like MS now. She didn't know how to say it. By the way, is it not funny that they're going with the red, white, and blue thing over the rainbow? What's that about? Oh, I wonder. I think we all know. But you know what? Fine. There's a sea change going on. And if they want to jump on board with red, white, and blue, heck, I'll welcome them. But the reality is, even the red, white, and blue won't save them. They have already dug their own grave, and they will be a disaster in this spinoff, including people like Rachel Maddow, who I don't think will actually be able to survive. And it's from the simple fact that she costs too much money. Right? Like, you can't make $25 million, reportedly. That's what she gets for one show a week. So what are they paying? To put her picture on a billboard? Nobody watches her. Like, no one. Like, the ratings are actually horrific. I mean, they might be a smidge better than Jen Psaki, Peppermint Patty, but that's not saying a whole lot now, is it? Yeah, because Jen's like way down. I mean, they have miserable ratings at that network, and they can't afford to do this. So in this new media world, these cable companies, like a CNN, like an MSNBC, are totally challenged. And I suspect when Skydance, Paramount gets in there and buys up CNN, poof, gone is CNN. They're actually buying it for Warner Brothers Discovery. They don't want CNN. They're going to get rid of it. And by the way, if they strike a deal where they don't actually purchase CNN, CNN is still really in tough shape. I was going to say something else, but I won't. Really in tough shape. You know why? They can't make any money. So they are going to spin it off, just like they're doing with MSNBC. They will spin it off, and poor Jakey and poor Anderson Cooper and the rest of them, Caitlin Collins, right? They're not going to be able to afford those fancy homes in Nantucket anymore. They're going to actually have to play in the real world and make a more modest salary. Or, hey, come over to the dark side. It's pretty good over here on YouTube.